It probably comes as no surprise that because of the chaos and anarchy that has taken place in Seattle the last several years, some of the residents have decided, no, this is no longer acceptable. I don't feel safe. I don't feel like it's safe to raise my family, and we got to get moved. And because certain parts of Idaho are so similar to Seattle, they're looking at moving here. And I'm here to tell you, you should absolutely steer clear of Idaho unless you know what the major differences are and you can accept them. So I'm going to go through that list of these major differences so you can decide if, yep, Idaho is exactly what I'm looking for, or nope, time to look somewhere else. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Living Life in North Idaho. My name is Trent, and I've been in this area for 31 years. So if you're interested in knowing more about what it's like living, eating, working, playing, and buying real estate here in Idaho or Eastern Washington, this is the channel for you. Go ahead and tap the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so every time I come out with a new video, you get notified. And if you are serious about getting moved here, or you're on the fence, you can't decide if Idaho or Eastern Washington is the right place for you, or you need help deciding where in Idaho or Eastern Washington is the best place to live, that is why my team and I are here. So reach out to us day, nights, weekends at the phone number or email address listed below, or you can go to the website and see what the market is doing in our area. Either way, we are here to help you, so reach out anytime. All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's dive into this video. Like I said, I'm gonna go through a list of major differences between living in Seattle and living in Idaho or Eastern Washington. And instead of focusing on the nitty gritty, like what's the cost of living and the schools and traffic and crime rates and all that stuff, I'll do a video like that soon. But in this video, I wanted to focus on the major changes that took place in Seattle and how those contrast with Idaho and Eastern Washington. Because ultimately, I think that tells a much better story than knowing what some of the normal everyday stuff is like. Like I said, I'll make that video, but for now, let's focus on this stuff. So let's start by talking about our law enforcement, how we feel about law enforcement, how we support law enforcement, and what not to do with law enforcement. We know in Seattle became very popular to defund the police, that movement, and how crazy that didn't work out well for some reason. Who could have seen that coming? Anyway, here in Idaho, Eastern Washington, we understand that law enforcement, these people are our neighbors, they're our friends, they're people we go to church with, our kids go to school together, and their job sometimes really sucks, right? They have to deal with the worst parts of society almost every single day. And then we don't understand why they're stressed out and why they make mistakes and they overreact. Crazy, right? But here in Idaho, we treat them with respect. We comply when they ask us to do something because we know their job is hard. Now, if there's a corrupt officer and he's doing some really sketchy stuff, you bet we're going to hold them accountable. We're going to do everything we can to get them off the force, but we absolutely are not going to take their resources away to do their jobs because we all know how that ends up. So if you're super anti-law enforcement and you think all cops are terrible, just take this guy's advice.
Look, if you hate cops just because they're cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
Next, let's talk about seceding from America. You all remember Chaz, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone? That was wild, right? That was probably the craziest thing to see. I even had friends that went and stayed in there to film and interview people. And some of the stories they were telling me, I was like, that's interesting. But yeah, we understand America is frustrating, right? Our government is frustrating. Our healthcare is frustrating. There's a lot of things that are not right about America, but the idea of taking a piece of it and going, this is ours now, and you guys stay out, and that's going to somehow work out well, it doesn't. So just understand, here in Idaho and in parts of Eastern Washington, people love America. They love this country. They understand that it sucks, that it's really, really bad right now, but we don't feel like divorce is really an option. We can't find any divorce attorneys for that. And so we keep working on it. We try to keep our spirits high. We try to focus on the things that are working versus trying to divorce the whole thing and then seeing how that works out. We know how that worked out. It didn't work out. And so don't come here thinking that that's an option. Probably a lot of people don't. They probably saw how that worked out. But yeah, kind of crazy, Seattle. What was up with that? Which leads me to my next point. focusing on commonalities versus the differences. I know right now it's become really popular to fracture, to create all these little subgroups of people and focus on the sexuality, focus on the color of your skin. What's your background? What's your trauma? Why are you a victim? But that doesn't lead to anything good. I can promise you. I've served in the military. I've been part of corporations. And anytime you're trying to achieve a big goal with lots of people, everybody knows that stuff needs to stay in the background. You need to find what you have in common and work towards that goal. And I know that that's kind of counterculture right now, but here in Idaho, we understand you've got to find the commonalities. And something that every American has in common right now is that we know the healthcare system's broken. We know the food system is broken. We know there's corruption in government. So we really try to come together on those topics, and just the things we can't agree on, we leave in the background to achieve a goal. And that is how we like it here in Idaho. Next, let's talk about mostly peaceful protesting. I hope by now we can all agree that's not a real thing, that it's either peaceful or it's not. And I get it wasn't every person protesting that was out there breaking windows and burning down courthouses and things. It was a small group. But you can say that about pretty much anything, any war, any atrocity. It's never everybody. It's always this smaller group, but you're still responsible. If you're out there doing those things, if you're protesting, you got to make sure that other people are safe. You got to make sure that your town is safe and not being destroyed. Otherwise, it's going to get attributed to you. We are all about protesting here in Idaho. We oftentimes do it with our guns that you guys want to ban, but we don't cross that line. We understand that we have the right to have our voices heard, to stand up, show our numbers, and let the government know that, hey, you're messing with the bee's nest here. But the moment you cross over that, it's not mostly peaceful. It is chaotic. It is bad. It's not good. So we strongly recommend, if you're coming here and you're into that kind of thing, this isn't the place for you. Next big difference, how we're going to solve homelessness. Now, yes, we understand homelessness is a massive issue and it's extremely sad. It's terrible to see a human being living like that. But we also understand you cannot help anybody who does not want to help themselves. And some parts of our country believe that if you just throw enough money at it, it'll solve it. And we know now, the data is in. The more money you throw at it, the bigger the problem becomes. So here in Idaho, we have laws in place, and sorry if those don't work for you. Sorry if that makes your life harder. They're here for a reason. They're here to allow the people that are running society, that are working, that are trying to keep things good, continue to do that. Because ultimately, you're just going to flood the lifeboat with people that don't even really seem to want to be in a boat to begin with. It just doesn't make sense. I know this is a touchy subject, and some people have a really big heart and they want to fix things. But understand, if you go into government and you force everybody to be involved with your solution because your conscience says so, that's not going to work out well. If you have a conscience for it, if you feel bad, you go and serve, you go and help, you go and raise money. But please don't ask the government to steal it from me so that your solution can be tried, which has already been proven to fail. Now, I know that's a really touchy subject, and hopefully you're still with me because this is the last one. This is the biggest difference, I think, between Idaho and Washington. Legalizing drugs and crime because you feel bad. Obviously, by now we can look, this was a horrible decision. Obviously, the crime rate skyrocketed. People are leaving. I mean, even Bezos is like, I'm out of here. Now, I don't understand how people get to that conclusion that by having rules, it is unfair and it's making it worse. That doesn't seem to make sense. And hopefully you can agree with me on this. But yes, in Idaho, never going to legalize drugs, never going to legalize stealing, even if it's under a certain amount. I mean, you can see by how many stores have called it quits, have gone, yeah, we can't stay open here, and how many people have overdosed and don't feel safe because there's needles everywhere and children are being exposed to this madness. Hopefully this is not a shocking difference here, but just understand, if you thought that was a good idea, if you think that that's the way to progress and how to fix problems, Idaho is really not going to be a good fit for you. So that's it, guys. Those are the major differences between Seattle and Idaho, Eastern Washington area. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment in the comment section if you are thinking about leaving Seattle and why. What's the biggest reason that's drawing you to Idaho and the biggest reason that's pushing you out of Seattle? I want to hear about it. And make sure you subscribe if you do want to see more of these videos. You reach out to us anytime, day, nights, weekends, if you're serious about getting moved to this area. We absolutely love helping people get moved here. Till the next time, I will see you later.